Winter can be the best and the most terrible time of the year at the same time, and some people experience it in the funniest way. Make sure you watch this video until the end to see what it's like to live in the coldest place on Earth. If you love winter as much as we do, don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a big thumbs up. Today, we are showing you 20 hilarious pictures of people versus winter. The fake car. If you live in Canada, you know how hard it is to find parking in the big city during a storm because you can't park on the road during snow removal. This guy from Montreal called Simon Laprise didn't have a car, but he wanted to live this problem too. This is why he decided to make a car out of snow. He just wanted to trick the snow removal guys, but he tricked the police instead. A police officer stopped to look at this masterpiece and even called for backup. They finally left him a note saying, "You made our night," with a smiley face. Watch for ice. Unless you plan to go ice skating on the road, no one likes ice. But do you know why it's so slippery? That's because there's a thin layer of liquid water on top of solid ice. But the problem is that no scientist knows why ice has such a layer. This brown bear put on his white lab coat to do a little experiment and solve this problem. Unfortunately, it ended up being much more complicated than he thought it would be. That's because he slipped on ice too. If only bears could read, he would have known that he should watch for ice. That's what they said. Some people say that you need to put your wipers up when it snows, and they are probably just making fun of you. This guy found out about it the hard way when he saw that his wipers were completely frozen up in the air. We think that some people give this advice because they find it easier to clear off windshields when their wipers are up, and they don't freeze onto the glass. But when you are stuck in a storm like this, you probably won't make that mistake ever again. No matter what, we'll forget about everything when we'll be comfy and warm in our car. The crash. People from Canada really do love to hate winter, and we clearly understand why. During a snowstorm, many cars crashed into each other in Montreal. A couple of cars lost control, but then a bus lost control too, followed by another car and another bus. People tried to help them, but they ended up being a part of the crash too. Just when we thought that it couldn't get worse, the snow removal guys crashed into them. In total, police confirmed that 14 cars were involved in this little incident. That's just another normal day in Canada. Is it winter? In the United States, Americans live winter in a really different way. Actually, we don't even know what season it is in Chicago right now. That's because one person is wearing a pair of shorts and a t-shirt while the other has a winter coat and winter hat. Then there is a girl in the back who just seems to be wearing a simple jacket. That's what happens when the temperature always changes suddenly. We never know what we're supposed to wear, and some people don't even have what it takes to face winter. We think that the guy is calling his mom to ask her to bring him a coat. The Russian winter. At least if you live in Russia, you know when it's cold. It's cold. These three women decided to take pictures outside when it was negative 67 degrees Celsius in Moscow. Don't worry, it's not that bad. It was negative 71 degrees Celsius in 2013. In this city, kids usually go to school even when it's negative 40 degrees Celsius outside. But they decided to make an exception on that day. They all went to the mall to buy some white mascara, and Anastasia Gruzdeva was one of the girls who loved this trend. With her eyelashes completely covered in snow, she looks just like a snow queen. The temperature. What do you think is the coldest place on Earth? Many people guessed that it would be the North Pole, but if you lived in Canada, you would be wrong. Some Canadians woke up one morning to find out that Montreal was probably one of the coldest places on Earth at that time. It was negative 26 degrees Celsius on that day, which is not that bad. But when you compare it to other places, you see that it was negative 21 degrees Celsius in the North Pole, negative 17 degrees Celsius in Antarctica, and negative 2 degrees Celsius in Siberia. We think that we are going to move in with Santa Claus for next winter. Want a beer? No matter what, some people found a way to take advantage of this situation in the comfort of their home. A little snowstorm is not a reason to stop the party. It should actually be invited to the party. Anyway, there is no way they could leave their home when they saw how much snow was outside when they opened the door. This is why they decided to turn it into a little fridge to make sure that their beers would stay cold. And if they ever lose one, they will simply have a nice surprise during the spring. The bathroom break. Just because you stay inside doesn't mean that winter is always your friend. That's because we all know how cold it can get when we are in the bathroom. And no king should sit on a throne unless it's warm. Unfortunately, the king of this house couldn't afford a heated toilet seat. This is why they decided to take a blanket, make a hole in it, and put it on the toilet. We don't know if this is a good idea because the blanket will not be cleaned for too long. No matter what, it was a good reason to take a hilarious picture. Where's the pupper? Come on, humans, you are so weak. A little snowstorm will never be able to stop a big puppy from enjoying a day outside. This courageous young pup just decided to jump into the snow and have a whole lot of fun. He might have underestimated the amount of snow, but he will never forget this awesome decision. Come on and join him outside. We know that we will all end up hating snow when we grow up. So make sure you appreciate the wagging tail of a puppy who enjoys the snow for the first time in his life. The murder. Unfortunately, some people are not ready for winter, and this snowman learned it the hard way. We can already imagine a couple of kids who were forced to spend some time outside and decided to turn their negative emotions into something hilarious. They were too lazy to build a classic snowman, and this is why they ended up putting them next to each other around the tree. Just add some sticks and some X's for the eyes, and you end up with a crime scene. Even though this is not what their parents expected, we bet that they couldn't help but laugh when they saw this. We just hope that this one won't come to life like Frosty the Snowman. The artist. There are many ways you can turn something into a work of art during winter, but this guy never thought that he would create something wonderful during his lunch break. He just wanted to eat some ramen noodles outside, but he quickly found out that it was a bad idea. This is why he decided to turn it into something better. It was so cold outside that the ramen noodles stayed in place when he took some with his fork. But instead of complaining, this guy took advantage of the situation and decided to take a picture of this beautiful scene. The Sahara. Do you know that the entire continent of the Antarctica is considered a desert because it gets very little precipitation? This is what makes it the largest desert in the world, but Antarctica has some competition now. That's because it started snowing in the Sahara. This is a rare event which has taken place just 3 times in 40 years, and Karim Bouchitada, an amateur photographer, decided to capture this moment with a camera. While most of the pictures simply look gorgeous, it is also really fun to see his awesome selfie. He is probably the only one who has a picture like that on Instagram. Don't forget your boots. It's kind of hard to forget your boots when you go outside during the winter, but there is always one of your weird friends who is going to surprise you with a weird story about this. Anyway, this cute little dog really wished that he had forgotten his boots. That's because he doesn't know how to walk with them. He doesn't understand that his little paws are touching the ground, but he can't feel the ground because he is wearing little boots. What is happening? Maybe he should walk on 2 feet as humans do, but don't walk on those 2 feet, little pupper. The fashionista. This girl did wear boots, but someone should have told her that wearing heels was not a good idea when you're walking on ice. You do look cute when you're walking on the sidewalk during the spring, but you look a little clumsy when you slide down the sidewalk during the winter. At least someone gave her some instructions to learn how to walk. She just needs to find enough balance to have the time to read what's written on this sheet of paper. You don't need heels anyway. You're already tall enough, girl. You probably have vertigo when you walk on stilts like these. The Bikini Contest. We do know that you can't wait for winter to be over, but wearing a bikini won't make summer come faster, but it might make you look hotter than you have ever been before. In April 2013, Siberia won the world record for bikini skiing. 700 women and men in swimsuits were lucky enough to go skiing on a very hot day, and they were not the only ones who had crazy ideas like that. The previous record was set in Canada when 250 people came down the slope wearing a swimsuit. Would you be crazy enough to go skiing in a bikini? We certainly would. The fall. You're not the only one who keeps slipping on ice. The professionals do it too. And when they fall in a terrible way. Ice skating isn't for everyone, mostly when you see that even the best people can fail. We usually see the guy holding the girl up in the air, but this time they decided to switch places to show that women can be strong too. You're not saying this girl is not strong, but that guy is probably heavier than what she imagined. Or maybe that's just the way they're supposed to do this figure. Who's the puppy? Who's a good boy? No, seriously, who's the good boy? There are 2 dogs in this picture, and we don't understand which one is the real one. We think that this woman did an amazing job at recreating her best friend with snow. Unfortunately, the real dog doesn't seem really happy. Is he upset because he thinks that he looks better than that? Because the other dog is bigger than him? Or because the new snow dog gets more attention? We wouldn't be surprised if the big puppy ended up peeing on the competition. This is his territory. The smiley faces. At least some people are happy to see that it's winter. Cars love spending time outside. They even like to make sure that they are covered in snow to hide from their owners who want to take them for a ride. Just look at the cars that have been surprised by a photographer when they thought that no one was looking at them. This is what your car does when you're not looking at it. They like to stick out their tongue and smile for no reason, even though one is really upset today because his owner forgot to lock the doors. Who said that cars didn't have feelings? The coldest place on Earth. We have learned previously that the North Pole is not always the coldest place on Earth, but where is it then? In Oymyakon, a tiny village in Siberia, the temperature can drop to negative 96 degrees Celsius sometimes. There is even a sign that warns people when the temperature drops under negative 60 degrees Celsius, which we'll never see in many other countries. There is even a sign that reads the Pole of Cold in Cyrillic. What do you like to do during winter? Don't be shy to answer in the comment section down below. We love to hear what you think. And that's it for 20 hilarious pictures of people versus winter. For more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching and see you next time.